So here is a type of Scindapsus. I think I said before about how for a little bit I was collecting Scindapsus like their Pokemon cards, and that was a thing. This is a Scindapsus Jade Satin Variegated, and the leaves are looking a little funny. Sometimes when they look like that, it's either a pest problem or that it's kind of root bound. So we are going to change this. It's a kind of expensive one. It says 125, but I think I got it for a little bit cheaper than that, which that's still very expensive. It's probably like 90 or something like that. So when you are repotting, I already got my soil in a pot. I love these pots like this. They got little holes on the side, which helps for airflow. So yeah, so that's already set. But when you're repotting, sometimes it's good to take the pot and just kind of press on it like that before pulling out, especially if it's a root bound pot. That can help to kind of break up some of those attachments to the side of the pot. And a lot of times you'll get roots. You'll get roots that are actually growing outside, which this doesn't have any here. So I don't think it's too super root bound, but it definitely is not in the kind of pot that I want it to be in anymore. And you can see it's got a little wood plank there, which is good. It's nice to have something for it to grow on. So kind of pulling it out. Oh, this poor thing. Yeah, oh my goodness. Yes, it was root bound. Oh my goodness. So that would explain why the leaves look weird like that. And that's often what you'll see is they'll get misshapen when it is super root bound. Look at that. Why did I think that I replanted that? So actually what I'm going to do, I thought that I repotted it once, but I guess not. That is terribly root bound. So, oh my goodness. So what I'm going to do, this poor thing, I feel bad now. I feel like I've neglected it. I'm going to actually put this in some water to soak because it looks very dry. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the leaves, they kind of look curled and they look misshapen. That's a great way to know that you need to repot something, besides the fact that you can see sometimes roots come out the bottom. But this one did not do that. I think that's why it was a little bit hard to tell, but I should have taken a better cue from the fact that the leaves were getting weird looking. So I will go ahead and soak that for a little bit before I even pot it into the new pot. It will be so happy. I promise it will. All right, so I just took one of these IKEA like little white organizer bins. I didn't have anything else around. Put some water in there. And then this stuff is great. If you've never used this before, it's kind of expensive, but you don't need very much. And people swear by it. I think it's pretty good. Some of the top influencers, plant influencers, use this, and their plants are great. I don't think that's the only trick, though. I think there's a lot more to it. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. I could probably do a little bit more than that, but I'm going to put a little bit in there, and then I'm going to take my poor little Scindapsus, and I'm just going to soak it in there. I'm going to give it some goodness for a little bit. It's even got some Spanish moss on there. I love Spanish moss, but it's kind of a little bit of a hard thing to take care of, honestly, because you got to remember to like soak it for a little bit, and it gets rotted really easily if you don't spread it out. So I love the look of Spanish moss, but it just ends up always like, yeah, not being a good thing drying out. So I'm actually going to soak the entire Scindapsus. It's really good to do that a lot of times, just to kind of. So I'm going to speed this up for you guys. All I'm doing is basically taking out this wood plank, which actually was a great wood plank because it did not rot or anything like that. And then I'm going to kind of untangle some of these roots just for the heck of it. They've been all kind of mushed up into one little tiny spot. I also think it's a good idea to do this so you can assess the roots properly and make sure there's no root rot. This did not have any root rot. The roots actually looked spectacular. Now what I did, it's not quite been 10 minutes, but I'm just kind of, I don't like yank on the roots. I'm very gentle with them, but I kind of just like treat them like I'm kind of untangling. I'm not trying to get them perfectly untangled, but I just want to break up any kind of soil that may be in there. And then what I'm going to do, so you can look how beautiful those roots look. They look amazing, actually, for how root bound they were. So sometimes root bound's not a terrible thing. It means it's growing, it's happy. But just like I said, you want to pay attention to leaves that kind of look like either curled like that, or just misshapen. I mean, that's probably the number one thing that I see when a plant needs to be repotted. But look at that. That's just so pretty. Not any roots I see that are a problem. They look good. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out, set it to the side, and take my water, my beautiful water, dirty water, and I'm going to put it to the side. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my wonderful Scindapsus, and what I did is I dumped some of the dirt out. I like this because it's got flows to the sides. I might put a clear plastic pot in here that can, as a retainer for water and all of that, because Scindapsus, I feel like when I put them in this type of pot, they dry out a lot quicker and they're not happy as much. So with Scindapsus, one of the things that they'll tell you a lot of times is the leaves will start curling when they want water. Now, a lot of plants are like this, but these are particularly dramatic when it comes to that. So what I'm going to do is you can see here I filled it up about maybe 1/4 of the way. Maybe I'll do a little bit more than that, actually. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start filling in the sides. I'm going to put the roots in here. I'll zoom out here in just a second so you can see the pot a little bit better. But it was in much need of a bigger pot. There are so many roots, and this is why I like to untangle it so I can get the dirt all in there, because a lot of the dirt was gone. But you can already see it's filling up a lot of the pot with the roots. So I'm just going to start filling in around there. So I'm just filling in the sides. Remember, it was in that size of a pot. Wow. Now it's going, if you can compare it, going up to this size. So if that will tell you anything. So I can already tell that it's a lot happier. Let me zoom out there a little bit. It was definitely in need of repotting. I don't like all the roots being close to the edge. Just don't. I want to make sure that the roots are kind of tucked in to the soil, that they're not hanging out the top. And I put some leca in there. I've been trying to use leca a lot more. I don't like using it by itself because I haven't mastered that. So I haven't even gotten to the point where I'm even... But I like it in soil. I feel like it's really good in soil, or in my mixture that I do that's with other amendments. So, and I also, in this, I have Super Thrive. It's kind of more of a natural fertilizer. I love it. So I usually like to leave some kind of gap at the top. So then when I water, it's not super hard to water. It's just not overflowing. But I think, looking at the edges there, I think we've got a good situation there. Yeah. I got some bigger perlite that's kind of a chunkier perlite that I really like. I prefer pumice if I can get it. It's more sustainable and it's just better in general. But yeah, I think that is pretty good. Now, sometimes when you top water, you can get some balding with all types of, pothos, Scindapsus, all of that, or pothos, as some people will say. So you can get that balding that can happen. What is a good idea to do is you might want to try to get some little clips where you can kind of pin some of the areas down where there's nodes. I do have some downstairs. Sometimes I'll go ahead and bury some of the areas, but it's hard for them to stay, so I'll just do that. So some of those extra trailing parts, I'll just go and bury them right away to fill out the top. And then, you could always, like this one, you can see, I don't know if that was in the soil or where that was, but that's interesting. I'll probably go ahead and try to just get this one tucked in to the soil. That's one of the reasons why sometimes I like it to be a little tucked in there a little bit more than that. But yeah, you don't have to have all the trailing out. Obviously, you want that fullness a lot of times at the top because you've got these nodes, and this is where it can attach to the soil and start growing into the soil, growing a root. So yeah, that will make your plant a lot fuller. And there are little things that you can do to set it in there and make it stay, but I don't know, I don't have the best luck with those things. They're like little red, you could use bobby pins too if you wanted, but I'm not going to do that. But oh, it looks so much happier already. So much happier already. And that makes me happy because, you know, it's good to take care of your plants and repot them when they're needing it. That's how you get happy plants, and it's very therapeutic. I think it's a good thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the tag back in there, kind of snugly back in there. So I'm not going to do a whole lot more than what I've done. I don't want to pack it too much. I always like leaving a little bit of space, but this is so much happier, I can already tell, and I'm happy with it. Now, what I like to do is just to get all the dirt kind of soaked in there, is I usually like to give it a good rinse off in the sink and pour over the top so that it can kind of get the dirt where it needs to go. I don't like using bobby pins, but I might get something to kind of help hold some of these areas down on the top so it doesn't end up balding at the top, and that some of these can actually start to grow on the top and it will fill out quite a bit. That is the plan. Right now it may look kind of a little bit like, not scraggly, but definitely better than what it looked like, and this will significantly help it to grow and stop having this deformities of the leaves like that. Poor thing, I didn't even realize that it was so root bound, but I am definitely happy that we are repotting it today, and it looks great.